Emancipation isn't always as simple as removing shackles or escaping an oppressive situation, because oppression isn't always obvious. But when the revelation comes that you truly are free and you try and escape the virtual plantation, that isn't always easy either.
When you leave the plantation, the white Democrat man hates you, and the rest of the blacks that are on the plantation hates you, and the blacks on the plantation then begin to call you an Uncle Tom. They say, you Uncle Tom, nigger you, that's all you are.
I know that as a conservative black woman, I've been called an Uncle Tom. I've been accused of being paid off by the Republicans, all kinds of things. And the things that were said by Dr. Rice, General Powell, or Judge Thomas. Your personhood is destroyed. You're called names, sellout, etc. You receive death threats like I do on a real regular basis.
Over the last 15 years, I've been called nigger, Uncle Tom, a sellout. I've had guns drawn on me. My telephone's been tapped.
Someone like me, I'm running for the United States Senate. Well, there's a part of black radio that attacks me by name right now. Okay, call me everything but a child of God, as they say.
Black activists on the right who try to escape the left's liberal plantation often are vilified and excoriated, not as being incorrect or having unfortunate views or having perhaps the wrong outlook on taxes or spending or whatever, but as not sufficiently black, inauthentically black, traitors to the race, and a lot of us have been called very, very ugly names. I have no problem if somebody says, look, I think your belief in the flat tax is misguided, or we never should have gone into Iraq, or what are we doing there, or I think the government really should spend more money on education and have big, big government programs. I can handle that. I can say, well, here's why I disagree. But much more obnoxious and hideous is the kind of rhetoric you get about being an Uncle Tom and a sellout and letting down black people and don't you wish you were white. You are black, therefore you must think this. And no, you may not think independently. I can think of nothing more bigoted than to look at someone and say, based on the color of your skin, this is what you have to think.
When we first announced our High Impact Leadership Coalition, and we're at the front page of the Los Angeles Times, the next 3 days, there were African Americans who, not knowing me at all, never heard of me, I'm sure, they wrote op-ed pieces saying, this Bishop Jackson must be, and they called me the worst names under the sun. It really did. Start off with Uncle Tom and went south from there.
You're going to become an outcast within the black community. And I think that's why a lot of blacks are afraid to step out in the crowd.
Anyone, any black in our society that would disagree with the liberal left, that they then are ostracized, that they are used as an example to others to never ever speak out against liberalism.
Jesse Jackson and Maxine Waters, the NAACP, Louis Farrakhan, Al Sharpton, they are the overseers of the plantation. They keep the folks there. They keep them getting up every morning supporting the plantation. And then they get paid by the heads of the Democratic Party. If you keep the black folks on the plantation for me, I'll give you a position in Washington, D.C. I will give you a sense of power and authority. I will promote you to look good. So
you take the Clintons, you take the Dashells of the world, the Gores of the world, they're just as dangerous as a Jesse Jackson or Maxine Waters or Al Sharpton, because they still preach this soft bigotry of low expectations. They derive their power by having a minority base. They must make sure that blacks remain forever victims in need of the government assistance, because what they can do is say everything is about race. The reason why you lost the election is about race. The reason you don't have a job is about race. The reason why you can't get an education is because the teacher's racist. And as long as they can do that, they can take this voting bloc, the high priest of black, and take it to the plantation, the Democratic plantation, and say, look, every 4 years we deliver 95% of this vote to you, because they conceded their power to us. We think for them, we decide for them, and whatever we say, if we say jump, they'll say hi. What do we have to show for giving you our power? How does our lives improve? What have you done to change the circumstances around me? It seems as though my life is the same, but yours is getting better and better. And they start questioning, and the more they start questioning, the more they dig deeper, they realize, well, hey, if we're ever going to be a true power base in this country, we have to be a power base in both parties. We cannot allow either party to take us for granted or just to ignore us. And so why not vote Republican when I don't have anything to show for voting for you, giving you 95% of my vote?
I don't think that we should be captured or entrapped or enraptured or committed to any one party.
No longer are they listening to the masters of the plantation. They're beginning to break away, and that's why it seems to be this desperate move to paint all Republicans as racist. They realize that something is happening in this country. There's a paradigm shift.
The same forces that sought to enslave Black Americans physically have succeeded in creating new plantations of poverty programs and government handouts. They serve to reduce intelligent, thoughtful people into helpless victims, dependent upon the state for their very existence.
What I ask for the Negro is not benevolence, not pity, but simple justice. Everyone is asking the question, and they learn to ask it early of the abolitionists. What shall we do with the Negro? What shall we do with the Negro? I have but one answer from the beginning. Do nothing with us. The apples do not remain on the tree of their own strength. If they are worm-eaten at the core, if they are early ripe and disposed to fall, let them fall. And if the Negro cannot stand on his own legs, let him fall also.
Most of the problems that we see today in our inner cities are a direct result of this social engineering of the 60s, specifically because part of the means test, part of qualifications boil down to don't work, don't save, and don't get married.
And remember what Moynihan said, these Great Society programs, in his manifesto, he said these Great Society programs would be the doom of a minority and disadvantaged people in this country, because he saw it. He saw what welfare would do when you take away one's initiative, when you take away the example of a child seeing their parent come home and work, when you take away the initiative of working by the sweat of your eyebrow, when you take that away, the initiative, you may not see it first generation, but as time progresses, it begins to wear down not just a segment of society, but it begins to impact a whole society. Out-of-wedlock births, infant mortality, crime-infested neighborhoods, to the point where you've taken away the will for people to do for themselves, that you've created a permanent victim class.
I lived a very aggressive life, and actually I bought all the lies of the liberals through my childhood in the 70s, that the idea that we don't have to be responsible with the choices that we made, that there are no absolute rules, that moral relativism, it was all throughout society. This is the sexual revolution, this was the rebellious